Alright then guys, welcome back to Lokean Gaming. We're going to do an experience. This is not a game so much as an experience. As you can see, it's the 43 Berlin Blitz. If this makes you sensitive, please turn off now and won't be offended. When you are ready, look forward and press the trigger. We're going to be riding in the bomber, then be listening to a recording. There's not going to be much interaction from me or Loki, but we welcome you anyhow. Okay, look how beautiful. F for Freddie, so there we go. Gaze at any button, continue. We're going to start. Keep in mind, this is an actual reconstruction. Dusk, 3rd September 43. Langer airfoil. Keep in mind, this is the reconstruction, but this is a factual historical event.
Green light flashes from the control tower. That's the sign. It's our turn to go now. We're fourth to go. And the whole of our four engines are giving out a full-throated roar as we start to slowly gather speed down the 1.5 mile long runway. Ahead of us, the third aircraft already airborne. We can see the port and starboard lights shining like red and green stars in the dusk. We're racing to join it, gathering speed now all the way past the control tower. Just a little group of ground crews giving us away as we disappear now, moving rapidly all the time. I'm just looking up, we are still on the ground. It takes all this time to get off. But now, at long last, there we go, we're clear. We're airborne and on our way to join the stream of bombers making towards Berlin.
Alright, here we go.
Okay, chaps, we're at 8,000 feet now. Oxygen's on. Hello, navigator. Hello, Bombardier. We're crossing the coast now. Thank you. Bombs fused. Bombs fused. Hello, navigator. Skipper here. Nav lights off. Thank you, Skipper. Hello, Skipper. Hello, rear gunner. We've got anchor to fasten on the starboard quarter. Far away is the rear gunner. It's about 500 yards. Okay, just watch him, will you? Okay.
I'm standing forward at the pilot seat, and right forward of me, Bill, a 6-foot bomb aimer, is curled up in his compartment, surrounded by perspex glass. But right in front of me sits Scotty, our little flight engineer. Ken, the pilot, sits by him, the green globe in his instrument panel, just lighting up the outline of his face. And then behind me, with a blackout curtain, and behind that curtain, Con, the navigator, he's an Aussie from Brisbane, has just got his ruler out over our maps. Sparky, the wireless ops, in his cabin behind Con. He's keeping his eye on Reg Pinsley, our BBC engineer, with just a tiny pinpoint of light to help him cut this disc. The first time a disc was ever being cut in a bomber heading for Germany. Then behind Red, we go out into the darkness of the long fuselage of the bomber. There we've got our mid-off upper gunner, and he's the last man I can see. Just the outline of his head in the little glass bubble of his turret. There's one man out of sight, Dev, the rear gunner. He's a Sussex farmer. He doesn't say much. In fact, all we've had from him on the intercom is everything okay, Skipper. But that's a very comforting sound, because when Dev says it's okay, it is okay.
Alright, if you don't like reconstructions, now would be the time to bail, but everyone else, let's keep going.
Now and again, as we watch the flag, the bright light winking in among the heavy concentrated beams. They've got every single searchlight you could possibly imagine out there to catch us. And in a moment it'll be our turn to pass through them. The dark shape is going out ahead of us. Another Lancaster will lead in. There goes some flak again. They must be having a go at us, all right. All the time we're moving in. It's disconcerting to see that welcome waiting for us. I'm watching they've caught one of our aircraft. Up goes the flak around him, bursting in vivid flashes. Maybe after us, because the searchlights are starting to move away. They've left that other bomber, and they're moving now slowly towards us, feeling for us all the time. They're pumping up the flak in a steady stream. They've swung away from us now, swung back. I for one are not a bit sorry. There goes the flak, bursting always in that cone, and the searchlights starting from vivid white pinpoints, moving all the time, trying to follow that bomber. Again they come bending, a whole lot of them. They seem to bend away towards us, following a master beam. We're moving away to starboard, and it looks as if this time we've slipped through. The first thing we can see now is a wall of searchlights. Not the 30 as we saw as we came into the coast, but they're in hundreds. It's a wall of light with very few breaks. And behind that wall is a pool of fiercer light. It's glowing red and green and blue. And over that pool there are myriads of flares hanging in the sky. That's the city itself. And there in the heart of the glow there goes a bigger red flash, the biggest we've yet seen. That must be the first of the big 400,000-pound bombs going down. Black coming up at us now. That one went down, and it was pretty near to me. Our aircraft rocked. So we're running straight into the most gigantic display of fireworks in the world. We're due over our target. We're 2 minutes time, and Bill, our bomb aimer, is forward. He's lying prone over his bomb site, and the searchlights are coming nearer now all the time. There's one cone split again, and then it comes together. They seem to splay out at first like the tentacles of an octopus waiting to catch you. And this time, as they come together, they've got a Lancaster right in the center. It's up to us. It's getting too hot with these searchlights, and we're starting weaving. Our pilots put the nose of the Lanc down, and we're tilting away a furious angle. Up comes our starboard wing. It's hitting that Lancaster now.
Hello, engineer. Skipper here. Yeah? Will you put the revs on, please? Yeah. Okay, keep weaving. A lot of searchlights and fighter flares, Skipper. Yeah, keep on. Okay, boys, okay. Bomb doors open. Hello, Bombardier. Okay when you are. Bomb doors open. Bomb doors open, Bombardier. Right. They keep weaving, Ken. Steady. Steady. Right, a little bit. Bomb's going in a minute. Bomb. Right. 2, 3. Bomb's still going. Hey, Jimmy, try to be on it for him. Bomb's dead in there. Hurry up, Jimmy, hold on. You can... Where is he, Red Gunner? Can you see him? Down! Down! He's cut down! He's cut down! Did you shoot him down? Yeah, he's got him, boy! Right in the middle! Bloody good! Bloody good! Right about taken! Keep waving! There's some slack coming at me! Okay, don't shout all at once! Alright, photograph taken! Okay, Okay, photograph taken. Hello, skipper. Will you turn on to 081? Right, 081, navigator. Zone all speaker once now. Keep quiet, it's okay. Okay. Hello, Miss Gunner. Did you recognize that fighter you got on? No, I didn't recognize it, but it's definitely going down now. Good, Jimmy. I can see him, boy. Good show. I can see him now. Yeah, look at him burning. Does he look lovely? Good show, lads. Now keep your eyes open. Okay, yes. Now then, lads. They're certainly putting some stuff up, skipper. And they're putting a lot down as well. There you go. Okay, Reg. Still cutting, skipper, Reg. Okay, Reg, thanks a lot. My God, that looks a bloody good show, doesn't it? Yes, it's certainly good playing, Keep your eyes open, mid-upper. Very good, skipper. Some clock's jettisoned his incendiaries over there. You see it? It's a Lang, I believe. Yes, it's a Lancaster. My God, it's a Lang. Oh, hello, mid-upper gunner. Hello. Watch that Lang that's just above us, will you? Yes, very good. He's diving away. He's going over the port. By the living Jimmy, she's a wizard, Frank. Look at the stuff going. It must be dead. Oh, it's the best crane I've seen for a long time. They're still putting some tracer up, but there's not much coming besides that. No, not too much nattering, lads. Watch out. Keep a good look at the Lancaster coming up right behind us. Yeah, right behind us. Lang, how far away is he? How far away is he? About 500 yards. Yeah. Okay. He's seeing us, I think. Okay, Deb, I can see him. Thanks very much. Let me know when you get around on the course, Skip. I'm on course now, navigator. Thank you, Skip. 357. 357, that's correct.
There it goes, our first sight of England, just a little light from a beacon flashing up to us in the darkness below. And after the glare of light we left behind in Berlin, it seems small and frail. Nevertheless, everybody on board F for Freddie is mighty glad to see it.
Hello, Bombardier. English coast should be coming up now. Will you tell me when we cross it, please? Okay, navigator, I'll let you know when we cross it. I can see it coming up ahead now. Thank you. Nav lights on, skipper. Okay, navigator, nav lights on. Hell, Bill, do you see what I see? I can see the new moon through the window. Oh, don't worry about that. It's only Perspex anyway. Oh, Perspex. Maybe you got something there, chum. Hope so. My knees are singing the second chorus of Annie Laurie. Skipper Reg, can't our good friend the engineer give us a little bit of a song? Jock, go on, give him a song, will you? Oh, no, I wouldn't play for some anybody. Go on, Jock, don't be so bloody bashful. You'll never live it down, Jock. It's not a case of being bashful. Come on, Jock. Back. Oh, no. Back, well, the praise of Bonnie, where early falls the dew, and 'twas there that Annie Laurie gave me her promise true. Go on, you carry on now, Jock. No, Scotchman, and he won't carry on.
That, children, is an ear raid siren. It has nothing to do with any video games. So here we go. 43 Berlin Blitz. We're going to do the radio broadcast.
I'm standing in the heart of the Nottinghamshire countryside, rich agricultural land, and the crops are ripening, and there's a summer haze over it all. It's so quiet, peaceful, not a sound. But I'm haunted as I stand here by a sound which I first heard on September the 3rd, 1943. That's a sound that nobody will ever hear again except on record. The roar of a squadron of Lancaster bombers taking off from an aerodrome here in the heart of Britain. The aerodrome is a place called Langer, and here I am standing in it now because I was in one of those aircraft. I went thundering down the runway. I can see it's still there over the hedges. It's getting a little moss-covered now, and part of the assembly area is still used as a light aircraft runway, and there's an air sock trailing rather limply. There's hardly a stir of wind. But in those days, I had arrived here, sent by the BBC, to go and bomb, well, we hoped, a vital part of the Ruhr, Berlin, we didn't know. And why did the BBC pick this place and me of all places? Well, the story really goes back to the early days of the war, when the BBC naturally were mad keen to get a recording of people in action. But how on earth were we going to take the BBC recorders of those days into action? Because they were cumbersome. We used to cut acetate discs, and you had to drive the disc round by vast collections of batteries. And then at last the RAF came forward with a suggestion. Coming into service were now with the new big Lancaster bombers, and they could afford space in order to take an engineer and a commentator into action. And I was called in, Michael standing for me, and he said, I think you've been selected to go on an air raid. So your engineer, Reg Pidsley, I can see Reg now coming to see me. He said, "Where's a go?" he said. And, well, I was a certain thrill in my mind. So we came here, first of all calling at Grantham for the headquarters of the squadron, and then they said, you're assigned to Langer. I'd never heard of Langer before. Oh, the memories come crowding back as I stand here in the summer sunlight at Langer. But, you know, memories can play you false. After such a passage of time, well, the whole action has become almost like a great drama to me, in act after act, with myself obviously in the center of the drama. But are these memories really accurate? I thought I'd better check up before I came to Langer. And I went to the Air Historical Branch of the Ministry of Defense, and they've kept meticulously the details of every air raid that took place out of Britain. It's a marvellous historical collection. And Air Commodore Probert, he turned up the records of our very raid.
We've got here the operations record book of the squadron that you flew with, number 207 squadron. And the record of each crew is spelt out in detail in this book. And we can find here the names of the 7 members of the crew. And in fact, the writer did a very good job, as he's got your own name in here as well as having flown on the sortie. The account records the raid, and this is from the point of view of the squadron. It calls it a bombing attack on Berlin. The target was attacked at 23:31 hours from 20,000 feet with one 4,000-pound and 2 SBCs, 150 times 4 pounds, including 2 SBCs 16 times 30 pounds, and so on. It describes the weather over the target. There was good visibility. Yellow track markers were observed. A timed and distance run to target where red target indicators were seen, green target indicators were seen, and in bomb sight the bombing was concentrated. Red fires merging into one very large red fire. A glow visible from the Swedish coast. 3 large explosions seen. The window dropped. A good prang and successful trip. Sortie completed.
Sortie completed. Well, you might even have added wizard show. Because indeed that's how we spoke in those days. It seemed a natural language to do. And I'll never forget when we first went to Grantham, we went there to the group headquarters, and they said, all we ask you is say and do exactly what you see. Don't put any trimmings on it. Tell the truth. And then we came on here to Langer, where we were introduced to our crew. And I know the roll call, we shook them by the hand, Devonish, Bray, Stewart, Sparks, Fieldhouse. I'll not forget those names. And I asked Stewart, he didn't survive the war, but the others, they had their decorations, brave men all. And at their head, squadron leader Ken Letford, well, he collected the DSO, DFC. He was so cool and calm. And I mean, I felt an old man because I was in my 30s. And here were these young, such authority he had. And I gather he must have been about 22 at the time. And
Sorry
yet he
about
had
that warning.
crew in his hand. And we had a marvellous sing-song. Went to the mess that evening and we played the piano and we sang rude RAF songs. And I suddenly thought halfway through, we might be flying over Berlin tomorrow. And I said, what am I doing here singing rude songs? I remember one about there's many a Lancaster back from Berlin, bound for old Blighty shore, carrying its cargo of terrified men, all scared and prone on the floor. And it ended up with a triumphant, for heaven's sake, give Margate as our next target. And as for Berlin, bless them all. Oh, words to that effect. And as we ceased singing, it's about 12 o'clock, Ken turned to me, we were just going out into the darkness of the blackout to the hut just over there. That hut's still there where I slept. He turned and said, we're operating tomorrow. And next day, of course, there came first of all the briefing, like the school class, all being assembled in Berlin, just to be. My heart went down again. And then the ritual of going out to inspect, test flighting in the afternoon and installing our gear, and Reg putting it in the Sorbo, on the Sorbo seat, which lies in the darkness behind the pilot and underneath the rear gunner. And I remember there was a smell of acid drops all through that aircraft. And then the final kitting up. We were given something to eat. And it was just marvellous in those days. There was an egg. Bacon and eggs was marvellous. It was known as the operational egg. And I said, this is terrific. And Bill Bray said to me, wait till you see what you got to do to earn it. And then we went to the kitting up, armouring ourselves like knights of old, just like King Arthur's Round Table, all in rubber and plastic, of course. And as we kitted ourselves up, I remember Bill nudged me and he said, the crew next door were kitting themselves up alongside, said, they'll never go. They're not going. The pilot, they knew, and everybody knew, had lost his nerve and had turned back on the previous raid. 10 to 1, he was going to turn back again, and I looked at that face of a man, the frightened man, and something frightened in me too. I thought, can I go? And yet out we went. There was no turning back. And they took me out, placed me in my aircraft, showed me with my oxygen mask all fitted up. There was I, totally committed, waiting for the signal to go thundering down that runway. Darkness falling, dusk coming, fully briefed. And well, I'm going to relive that raid exactly as it happened. Of course, we couldn't fly directly to Berlin today. The air corridor's controlled, as you know, and we had to go by commercial aircraft on a set route. But let's get into our aircraft again. I remember its name now, F for Freddie, and relive with me that raid over Berlin.
Okay, chaps.
All
We're
right,
8,000
he's
feet
going
now.
to go
Oxygen's
over
on.
this, which
Hello,
he did
skipper,
before,
bomb aimer
so
here.
we
Oxygen
can
on,
exit
okay.
out here.
Okay, bomb aimer.
If you guys have
Engineer here,
enjoyed
skipper.
this,
Oxygen okay.
like, comment,
Okay,
subscribe,
engineer.
and we'll see you
Navigator
next
okay,
time.
skipper. Okay, navigator. Wireless operator okay, skipper. Okay,